It seems he'd been holding on to a leftover mini salami he'd brought to the camp in his pants. Ha ha, what?
Hello, welcome back to Bookend Gaming. Happy Otaku Tuesday, everyone.
Oh, yes, hello. I'm Eric.
I'm Travis.
I don't know what I'm doing.
Okay.
I'm just using a voice.
I was just giving you a look. What, is that what we're doing? We're doing that now?
I'm going to use that voice from now on.
Please don't.
Okay.
What, we got, like, neck sucking.
Yeah, we do.
And she was turned on by it, even
Also
though she
in
was
this
bleeding.
game.
Oh, yeah, and then also there was lesbian things going on. Your neck tastes really good, by the way.
Thanks, I just leached it.
Technically, I leached it if I was the one sucking on it. What are we talking about?
I don't know.
Go back to the voice. Start the episode
Oh,
over.
hello.
This is a mess.
I don't know what voice this is, but...
It's like a weird, like, emaciated Mario voice.
Yeah, Granny Mario.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Mamma mia.
Okay.
Okay. Anyways.
Yeah, here's Wonderwall. Oh, I don't remember the voice. The last few days, both Captain Sakashita and Mr. Ochi, hey, had been absent from the camp more often than not.
Oh, okay.
They were supposedly investigating the forest, but we hadn't gotten much specific information about what that involved.
So he's part of, like, the adventure team.
I guess.
But they never really mentioned it.
Yeah. Didn't I say something about, like, Mr. Ochi's, like, banging the captain or something?
Yeah, they're in cahoots.
I still think that might be a possibility.
Correct. I would think so, too.
With our teacher, the team's official figurehead, and the captain, its true leader, both absent, the majority of the group looked to Kazumi Kazuki for orders.
Oh, man.
To be perfectly honest, there were a considerable number of people who openly scowled at the idea of accepting instructions from an arrogant, sharp-tongued freshman. But by nature, people turn to competence over formal authority in times of crisis. And it was simply a fact that our efficiency as a group increased when command of the camp passed from Captain Sakashita to Kazuki. She carefully assessed everyone's personality and skills and assigned them appropriate jobs, placing a moderate responsibility on every individual's shoulders. You be the next sucker today. Through her consistent distribution of tasks, we had all naturally become aware of our roles, quickly learning to bring certain tasks to certain people without her direct intervention. She'd created a framework that enabled us to be productive.
Yeah, see? And Kazumi's just like an arrogant Kazuki.
Yeah. Yeah, she's charismatic. She's a leader type.
Oh, okay.
And she holds the magic conch shell.
Yeah.
This toilet construction operation was a good example. Kazuki didn't stand on the sidelines directing us, but her initial planning divided us into teams. One group dug the hole, one group repurposed a chair from the bus into the seat, and one group held their butts, focused on creating a sturdy roof that wouldn't leak in heavy rain.
Oh, a bus seat toilet. That sounds comfy.
And she designed a clear procedure for the job, but don't put your knuckles against it and rub it down. Did you ever do that? That was a thing. I don't remember if that... But, like, you put your fist up against the back of the bus seat in front of you.
Yeah.
Press down really hard and, like, run it down really quickly.
Right.
And it would burn the fuck out of your knuckles.
Okay, yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah, I don't know why. It's just stupid kids doing stupid things, I guess. But
Yeah.
that was just a thing that everybody did.
Fun.
Yeah. It's probably the same thing as the quarter game.
Right.
I know you played that.
Yeah.
We played it
We
against
played
each
it.
other. Yeah. Just destroying our knuckles for some reason. Kids are stupid. Sorry. And she designed a clear procedure for the job with logical, easy-to-remember steps, carefully tuned to compensate for our small number of workers. By following her instructions, we managed to finish the job rather quickly.
Which is good, because it's coming.
The completed toilet wasn't much to look at, granted. In fact, it was unmistakably a ramshackle hut slapped together by novice carpenters, but it was functional enough. Of particular note was our makeshift septic tank, filled with gasoline extracted from the bus, as an effective countermeasure against flies, maggots, and other pests.
Oh, okay.
It helped erase our concerns about creating a hub for transmitting disease.
I wondered what she was saying about the gasoline.
Yeah, what if someone got, like, a fucking volcano burrito?
Yeah.
Blow up.
Explosive diarrhea.
Yeah. If Kazuki hadn't been here, I doubt we could have come up with that idea, much less implemented it. Given such clear displays of competence, even those who disliked Kazuki on a personal level were growing increasingly reliant on her leadership, although in some cases only grudgingly and out of necessity.
But it's only my neck that she sucks on.
As the sun declined in the west, and the fierce heat and humidity finally began to die down, I set about making weed soup, using our meager allocation of rice and the vegetables we'd been able to gather in the forest. Today, the job was far larger than it had been at first. For quite some time, every pair had carefully prepared supper for themselves, probably out of paranoia about the possibility of having some of their food snatched secretly away. But for the last few days, I'd increasingly been assuming the role of the camp cook.
That cicada is too loud.
Yeah, right? I went along with the new responsibility easily enough, since I'd been preparing meals for the wounded Haruka and Sakurai all along. Increasing the quantity to feed more of the group wasn't really much of a hassle. I guess everyone finally figured, might as well just leave the cooking to the girl who grew up in a restaurant or something. That's racist. Probably another effect of Kazuki's emphasis on efficiently dividing our workload. As I struck a fire under the primitive cooking furnace we'd constructed from moderately sized stones, the various pairs brought forward their mess kits, offering up all the ingredients they had on hand.
If only we had some gasoline to make it easier to start a fire.
Jeez. Apart from the small quantities of rice and vegetables distributed at the beginning of the day, each aluminum rice cooker had a range of unidentifiable weeds.
This cicada's just messing everything
up.
It
really is. It's throwing me off. And wild grasses picked from the forest. Today there were quite a number of snails as well.
Oh, right.
Surprisingly, Kumhori, different person I think, had gathered.
It's Kumhori.
Yeah, but wasn't there a different? Was Komori the Kumhor?
Yeah.
Was it? I don't remember there being an E on it. Maybe I just projected Kumhor onto it and gathered most of the small, slimy creatures and an above-average quantity, although an extremely random assortment, of vegetation to boot. She'd taken her pet dog into the forest and walked a good ways in, gathering anything that seemed even vaguely edible. Why have they not eaten the dog yet? Then found her way back to the camp without a hitch. Apparently the dog had memorized the way back by scent.
I think that's like some foreshadowing there.
Yeah, it's gonna happen.
Even vaguely edible, like the dog.
Right. After that first success, Kumhor made a daily habit of approaching Kazuki with random plants that had caught her eye on such trips, asking which might be edible. When night came,
thank goodness,
our short-sleeved uniforms were... Now we got crickets. As always, inadequate protection against the chill air. Having finished our dinner, Kazuki and I set off for the large tent and half-forced Haruka to eat. With that finished, we finally made our way to Captain Sakashida's tent, as we'd promised earlier in the day.
All right.
She was waiting for us with Koide Senpai inside their tent, where a small candle provided some dim, flickering illumination.
Good evening.
One line. Kazuki offered a polite greeting, her tone of voice suggesting she'd just arrived fashionably late to a high society gathering. Captain Sakashida responded with the curt, "There you are," then glanced at Koide and gave a small little jerk of her head, prompting her partner to leave the tent. This ain't a foursome. Come in. Inviting us to sit with a sardonic, "Sorry I can't offer you any tea," Captain Sakashida got right down to business before we'd even settled ourselves on the ground.
Whatever, there's plenty of onion tea to go around.
Delicious. How are you? How are the wounded?
They're wounded. Their condition isn't deteriorating, but they're not recovering either.
I see. For one thing, Haruka-san's broken legs wouldn't have fixed themselves in a few days, even under ideal circumstances.
Now that the pleasantries are out of the way, listen here, bitch.
Suck my neck. And Sakurai Senpai's abdominal.
You did that last time. Or another time.
I did, yeah. Wound was healing very slowly, thanks to her worsening state of malnutrition and the absence of antibiotics to fight her infection. As an added misery, the intense heat and humidity had left her with a painful skin condition. Even the comparatively light wounded Canada's health needed to be monitored closely, given the poor sanitary conditions of the camp. For the last few humid days, she'd been complaining about her wound's constant itchiness. We warned her repeatedly not to scratch, but she had nonetheless picked up a troublesome habit of sticking twigs under her bandage and tearing at her stitches.
No, don't do that.
Why are they all so stupid? And apart from those who'd been wounded in the crash, many of the healthy girls were beginning to show increasingly advanced symptoms of malnutrition. Faces were swelling noticeably as their vitamin deficiencies grew more pronounced. Some girls had begun to complain of minor ailments.
I'm minorly ailed.
To be honest, we were past the point of monitoring the situation closely. It was slowly but surely crumbling before our eyes. How have they not done the let's go, let's just get the hell out of here? Captain Sakashita listened to the summary from start to finish in silence. When it was over, she again answered with a brief, "I see." After a moment, she leaned forward to look into Kazuki's face and spoke, and for a moment, I disbelieved my ears.
Yeah, that'd be like one of the first things I do is be like, let's go
Someone has
over
to.
here and see if there's a way out over here.
In other words, the food we're giving the injured is going to waste. Thank you. As terrible as that is, it makes sense. That's not... With a start, I realized why Captain Sakashita had driven Koide from the tent. Whatever the circumstances, she was our leader, and in speaking those words, she had just betrayed that responsibility. Maybe we'd all thought the same in some dark corner of our mind, but no one had voiced that ugly thought, and now the captain had coolly... That doesn't look right. Thrown it out into the open.
Coolly.
Coolly.
You said that so coolly.
She understood as well as we did that a quiet, crippling pessimism regarding the food situation had begun to spread among the group. If we were to continue on these meager rations, the currently able-bodied girls would eventually be reduced to invalids. Without adequate nourishment, our physical strength would be drained, sapping us of the energy to work, and with our bodies weakened, disease would spread all too easily around the camp. Simply by existing, the wounded were acting as a heavy drain on our precious supply of food. Their presence was reducing everyone else's ration. Ultimately, this might soon give rise to more sick people, exponentially worsening the problem.
Yeah, they're sick and dying. Let's just let them.
You have to. I mean, in that situation, you have to. When we weigh the lives of the wounded and the healthy against each other, the former will always be lighter on the scales. In this harsh environment, that pragmatic calculation felt all the more obvious. We don't have the elbow room to be handing out rations to those who can't work. The captain's argument was coherent enough, and I understood that she had little choice but to approach the situation with conservative caution. But nonetheless, her words sounded like a betrayal, a justification for unburdening ourselves of a load that had grown troublesome to carry, an excuse to abandon our friends and save ourselves.
I don't know what to say anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it's just gonna get more and more dark because all the things I'm saying seem to be happening.
Yeah,
it's just happening slower than I would have given up days ago.
Right.
Been like, just eat them all. They just all look so tasty. I'm sorry. You're the one who told me to be sly, Kazami-san. Remember that?
She wasn't sucking your neck; she was tasting you.
Yeah,
Just
it's a nice seasoning you got there.
That's why she didn't want you to be salty. Yes, I certainly did. However, I don't believe I would categorize demonizing the weak as particularly sly. If anything, it strikes me as petty escapism.
Well then, tell me, how do I escape your sass? Do you have enough provisions stocked away to keep the weak fed?
No, unfortunately not.
Talk is cheap, and reality is harsh. If you're so compassionate, how about sparing a thought for the majority who are being slowly the majority whore being slowly sapped of their energy thanks to this little good girl act of yours.
Long ellipsis.
Those spiteful words were all too clearly a deliberate act of revenge for Kazuki's insults this afternoon.
Yeah, let people die, because Kazuki's a bitch.
Yeah, that'll show her. Whether she was at a loss for words or simply too exasperated to speak wasn't clear, but Kazuki offered no reply other than a short, tired little sigh. I'd long before decided... I don't know. My brain's not working. I'm running out of air. To keep my silence and leave this conversation entirely to Kazuki, but all of a sudden I found myself unable to suppress the need to object.
Objection.
This is just too much. Are you planning to have us sit here and let the wounded starve to death? I didn't say that, did I? We have sharp things.
Yeah, I said it in different words.
For the first time in the conversation, the captain turned to me. She'd grown gaunt in recent days, leaving her cheekbones so prominent that her eyes seemed to have sunken in her face. It made her grim gaze seem all the more severe. I'm going to lower the relative priority of their meals, that's all. It's not as though I'm going to completely cut off their food. Of course, we'll be continuing to distribute them a modest ration. It's only reasonable, isn't it? Sitting around all day seems to decrease the appetite. That's not true. I sit around all the time and I just eat chips all day. There was another reason Haruka-san had refused to eat that afternoon, and with the construction of the toilet, that problem had been eliminated.
Yeah.
What, are you going to carry her
You got
to
a
it?
carrier there, though.
We could simply help her to the toilet seat and let her relieve herself in privacy, removing the biggest psychological roadblock to her recovery.
Well, yeah, I mean, you wouldn't have to bedpan her or whatever they were doing.
Right, just letting her shit herself.
It's all right, Amine. The captain's definitely not wrong about this.
But...
I'll share my portion of the rations with Haruka-san.
Huh?
I said Haruka-san. I assume that would be acceptable?
Why are you asking me? It's your food. You can do with it as you please.
Shove it up your ass for all I care.
Please don't.
Then that's just what I'll do. The sharing, not the ass shoving.
Kazuki leaned forward in a very slight bow as she stood. Lightly speaking the words, "Let's return," in my general direction, she abruptly left the tent. Wait, Kazuki!
Yes. What's the matter?
You know perfectly well what the matter is. Why didn't you fight back?
Because I thought it would be a waste of breath.
That's just... I was so sure you'd go at her. If you just objected to her logic or something, I'm sure you could have talked your way past her like always.
What are you talking about? Objection, or an objection, is only possible when someone acts or speaks in an objectionable way, when they're outright wrong or you dislike their solution to the matter at hand. Yap at someone under other circumstances and you're merely fault-finding. Remember the distinction.
Yeah, everything wrong with Cinema Sins, guys. Nitpicking everything.
Yeah, they do.
What the heck does that mean? I don't get it at all, Kazuki.
But that's the point of the channel.
That's the joke, yeah.
But, yeah. Didn't you hear me earlier? The captain's argument was logically sound. Some of them are stupid, though.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Even so, giving the wounded less food is just wrong.
Even so. And that's why I'm sharing my portion with Haruka-san. No problem.
Of course there's a problem. Maybe it slipped your mind, but you're injured too, Kazuki.
I'm injured. Yes, I know.
You're sure not acting like it. Look, why don't we just head back to the captain right now and try to get her to reconsider? If you charge in there and tell her, this is wrong, straight out, it'll definitely work out somehow. Let's at least try.
You try it. Goodness, you make me sound like some hysterical woman who's just itching to pick a fight. It's not as though I rush about lodging my objections to all the world's wrongs, you know.
Since when? Really? Personally, I kind of had this image of Kazuki waving a battle flag emblazoned with the words, "We must correct the world," on some vague battlefield.
She's such a Karen.
Ethnic cleansing. Oh, God.
What?
Italians must die!
Yeah.
Then charging forth at the head of the vanguard, all Jeanne d'Arc style. Jean? Whatever. Leading a glorious crusade across the mistake-riddled modern age.
You'll be hard-pressed to find another woman as tolerant of mistakes as I am, you know. Just think about it. Have you ever heard me ask Captain Sakashita, tell me, why were you born? Even once? Sack of shit.
No. Hold on a second. Did you just say something seriously terrible?
I mean, I said sack of shit.
That, kind of sounded like an indirect way of implying that girl should never have been born to me.
It seems you've come to understand how deeply tolerant and charitable a spirit I really am, yes? In that case, let's head back to the tent already. I'm starting to get rather tired. Huh.
Nothing keeps you from your beauty sleep, does it?
I feel faint.
It was already past 9 p.m. I looked up through the trees to the sky. I wonder who Conan has on tonight. Empty except for the bright moon and twinkling stars. The helicopter we'd seen for a brief few moments on the second day had been absent ever since. I strained my ears, but only heard the chirping of bugs. No cars running on the road above it, nothing. Why hasn't anybody noticed? There's a group of girls right down here, suffering so much. I was seized by the meaningless desire to scream for help at the moon, but I knew I'd only be making my throat hoarse.
Hey.
That early summer night, only the lonesome voices of
That's all I
insects
got.
echoed through the rocky alley, like the animal horse.
Yeah,
Joke!
I haven't said a word in like a minute.
I know. It's just how it happens. You just have to interject and interrupt me and ruin the flow of everything.
Yeah, I do that.
I do it to you all the time.
Yeah, it's fine.
I don't know if I said.
I don't think you finished the sentence, but whatever.
Yes,
We're
I did.
moving on. 8th day.
Is it?
I think so.
Yes. The 8th day in the valley.
All right.
Rain fell in the night, and the morning was cold. My chilled hand trembled slightly as I wrote. Come to think of it, was there even a point to keeping this diary in the first place?
I don't know.
Thinking about it would always drain me of the will to write. Maybe I'll meet Kazuki's brother someday.
Yeah.
But I never found an excuse to quit either. My pen moved mechanically across the pages.
I better go back and add the sounds I made when Kazuki sucked on my neck.
Right. Fortunately, the rain had stopped before today's morning muster. Perhaps I'd become used to being drummed out of bed at the same time every morning, as recently I was waking up naturally 15 minutes before 6. For the first few days, it had been difficult to sleep at night because of my hunger, but by now I was sleeping like a stone, and fasting at night actually seemed to make waking up in the mornings easier. That said, getting out of bed once awake was growing increasingly difficult. I had no choice but to spend 15 minutes in bed, waiting for my blood pressure to rise until I could stand up without instantly becoming lightheaded. This morning, Professor Kazumi's tour of inspection proceeded as usual. The valley was shrouded in a cold, damp mist. As we made our way around the examination line, many of the girls were swaying unsteadily on their feet, their bodies still not fully awake.
They should have waited 15 minutes to stand up.
Right?
Lest
Wow,
they get lightheaded. Good morning, Ibuki-san. How are you feeling this morning?
Well, so.
You seem rather tired. Incidentally, how many days have we been in this place?
Huh? 8?
I know, I've been keeping a journal. That's right, today is the 8th day. Rather cold one, too, isn't it? Would you say it's chillier than yesterday?
Yesterday? I don't think it was that cold yesterday. If anything, it was downright hot.
Yes, that it was. Is your mother doing well? How old is she this year?
Oh, I would fail this test.
Where's this coming from? Sorry, Mom, I don't know how old you are.
Or if she's doing well.
That's true. No, she's fine.
Never mind that. Could you answer the question, please?
Mom's probably fine. She's 42 this year.
What's this girl named? Boo.
Kazuki grabbed my arm and pulled me over.
Amine?
Your mom's name is Amine? Could you tell me her family name as well? It's Suho. Okay. I was really confused. I thought she was asking her mother's name.
Oh, no.
She grabbed Amine and said, "What's this girl's name?"
Yeah, she's like testing her to see if all her faculties are in place.
Right. It's Suho. You seem to be quite exhausted indeed.
I mean, she got all the other things.
Hardly surprising, under the circumstances. By the way, how many days have we been in this valley now? Has merely thinking grown tiresome? But please do try. How many days have we been in this place?
4.
Yes. Oh goodness, look at that. Wernicke's Encephalopathy, perhaps.
Smiling brightly, Kazuki leaned over and softly whispered into my ear.
What's encephalopathy? Yeah. Write a note of what I'm about to say.
I hastily brought my pen to the memo pad.
No, this'll ruin my diary.
Chronic Wernicke's encephalopathy.
Yeah, of course.
Signs of severe memory loss. Serious vitamin B1 deficiency. We knew it was a vitamin deficiency. We knew it had grown serious, but that diagnosis wasn't much good to us. We didn't have any needles, and more importantly, we didn't have any dietary supplements to fill them with. And we're all out of Sunny D. Of course, a dietetic regimen with lots
so many
of
big
pork,
words.
liver, and milk could have done the job just as well, but we didn't have enough food to satisfy even our basic caloric requirements.
Or I dietetic.
We need some milk with Mommy Milky.
Mommy Milky.
The only thing we could do for Ibuki was give her an encouraging thump on the shoulder.
Tough it out.
And express the hope her youthful resilience would pull her through. None of this was limited to Ibuki Harune either. The majority of the group was beginning to suffer from vitamin deficiencies. Light fever, joint pains, and shortness of breath were widespread. After our standard round of inspections came to an end, everyone dragged themselves right back to their tents. The morning was unpleasantly cold, and the pervasive sense of physical exhaustion didn't help either. Nobody wanted to wander off into the human forest, where the chilly fog hung thick as a cloud. By the time noon rolled around,
Let's take an intermission.
the temperature, what has happened, had risen dramatically, and people began to crawl out of their stuffy tents in search of cool air. For another thing, we needed to dry our sleeping bags and mats in the sun, as they'd grown damp from the humid night air and our sweat.
And our horniness.
Like the others, I pulled the bedding out of our tent, spreading them out on a long flat rock nearby. Naturally, I took Kazuki's as well. I began to beat the sleeping bags with a tree branch. They were naughty sleeping bags. Dust and termites flying out in little clouds with every impact.
Awesome.
My stomach growled miserably at the exercise. Just as Kazuki declared yesterday, she had begun to add much of her rations to Haruka's meals. Of course, this was being kept secret from Haruka-san herself.
Haruka.
At this rate, Kazuki wouldn't last long. When I told her I was worried, she'd laughed off my worries with some cliché about starving samurai making particularly leisurely use of their toothpick, then added that a leader doesn't need to eat, they just need to act like they're eating.
Oh, that will get you nutrients.
Right, of course. The words had given me a bit of a start. It was certainly true that everyone was relying on Kazuki, but I was surprised she'd come to think of herself as a leader.
Are you surprised?
What a conceited bitch.
Are you surprised about that at all?
Right, I mean, from day one.
She's kind of been at least some sort of leader.
Yeah. All of a sudden, I heard someone shouting in a clearly angry tone of voice, and my hands stopped in mid-swing.
Uh-oh. Don't beat those sleeping bags. They haven't been bad.
Pick on somebody your own size, you big bitch. Sound carries well through humid air. The bellowing voice of our team advisor, Mr. Ochi, reverberated impressively around the rock valley.
Oh, God, he's here.
He's dead.
Oh.
He has... That's what he looks like?
I guess.
I don't know who he was. You just be him.
Okay.
I think I was him, but...
Who stole it? Whoever stole the food from my luggage, come forward right now.
I didn't understand the exact details, but apparently someone had stolen food from Mr. Ochi's personal belongings. In the distance, I saw him lifting his rucksack high in the air, his face flushed red with anger.
I'm angry.
Glancing around the area, I found the others who had left their tents, fixedly studying the ground, carefully avoiding eye contact with our teacher. Why was he hoarding food, the fucking asshole?
Right.
Canada-senpai, still focused on scraping out the burnt grains of rice stuck in the corners of her cooker, softly mumbled, "What a joke," without even raising her head.
He has to have been here the whole time. Who was it? If you honestly admit it here and now, I'll consider going easy on you. Are you sure it's not a misunderstanding, sir? Absolutely impossible, and I hate your voice. Well, that's just rude. What exactly disappeared then? That's not important.
Mr. Ochi stumbled awkwardly over his words. From the looks of things, the missing food had probably been something he'd hidden away instead of contributing to the common stock.
Oh, it's definitely Kazuki, right?
Maybe.
In any
The
case,
captain.
or the captain, yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody here must have stolen it.
Even now, his shouts bore the righteous, authoritative tone of a scolding teacher. But we weren't in the classroom. His students responded only with irritated scowls. Of course, I also furrowed my brow at Mr. Ochi's actions. No matter how much he bellowed, it was perfectly obvious the culprit wasn't going to come forward. And in doing so, he was planting the idea of stealing from others in the minds of all the girls who'd been honestly enduring their hunger until now.
Well, I mean, did somebody steal? They were already the idea was already planted there.
Yeah,
if they had stolen it,
Right. They already knew.
So if I get hungry, I can just steal food from someone, right? As long as I keep my mouth shut, nobody's going to find out. It looks like everybody else is doing it anyway.
There you go.
The only thing Mr. Ochi was accomplishing with his tirade was sowing these dangerous thoughts in the back of our minds. When the single carrot went missing from Koide-senpai's tent earlier, Kazuki had skillfully concealed the incident in order to avoid the exact situation. Now it was all for naught.
Right, but did somebody steal from him?
They must have.
I mean, I don't know.
But he shouldn't have been hoarding it in the first
Well,
place.
right, no, but I mean, like, he's not implanting the...
Well, now it's on everybody. Only the thief knew at that point, but now everybody knows that food can just be stolen and no one will get in trouble.
I guess.
Without a doubt, this problem would reoccur in the future. In order for people to live as human beings, 3 basic rules need to be respected. 1. Don't talk about Fight Club. Don't steal. 2. Don't destroy. 3. Don't kill.
We live in a society.
3 broad principles that define the minimum standard of ethical behavior.
That's all you need, those 3.
That's it.
You can punch people, I guess.
It's destroying faces.
Oh, all
Gonna
right.
destroy that ass. In our little community, one of those three had just been irrevocably broken.
Yeah, that word.
They say
Irrevocably.
That yeah. Irrevocably.
Irrevocably. Enthusiastically.
Yeah. They say that liars often end up as thieves, but the opposite is just as true. When we become thieves, we begin to lie. I mean, thievery is deceit. Deceiving and deceived in return, we snatch the food from each other's mouths.
Or mouth the food from each other's...
Before long, accusations fly. Thefts become brazen, retaliatory. Fistfights break out. In the end, some turn to outright violence, attacking others, destroying their property, taking what they want by force. It's like the purge. All trust is lost. If things were to reach that stage, it would all be over. None of us would survive.
If I steal a car during the purge, do I still have to get it insured the next day?
It's not in your name. We would destroy ourselves over scraps of food. That's the thing. Like, I never watched those movies, but I assume everybody just murders everybody. But it's all crime is legal.
Right.
So why wouldn't people just like, I'm going to just go steal a bunch of shit? Maybe they do. I haven't seen those movies.
I've seen like one... I saw this one thing that was like... that like, oh, do I have to get the car insured, or like the day after the purge, and they're like, it doesn't matter, just go do it, and then the people are like, but yeah, but like, what if
now it's a crime?
Yeah.
It's like, I got away with the crime of stealing the car,
right,
but now I'm driving a stolen car.
Yeah, they were like, if I get pulled over, is it like retrospective?
Yeah, it's impossible to know.
Will they know that it was stolen during the purge?
Yeah. Kazuki had anticipated this outcome from the very beginning. That afternoon, I was in the forest with Kazuki, gathering edible plants, brooding on the morning's events. I'd long since lost track of how many times I'd asked her the question on my tongue, but I couldn't help myself.
Are the leeches in the trees? Are they looking at us?
Hey, Kazuki, what's going to happen to us?
That's 14 now.
Huh?
I'm referring to the number of times you've asked me that question.
Why are you even counting that?
I'm not. I remember everything, remember? I wanted to make sure I had an answer if you ever wanted to know just how repetitious you are.
And Kazuki's reply, too, was the same repetitive phrase as always. What will be, will be. There's no way to know how this will end. She certainly seemed fond of it, but to be honest, I'd always thought it was a bit of a non-answer. It certainly didn't make me feel much better.
Well, I mean, she doesn't know.
Right.
They could come rescue you right now, or
Yeah,
they might
could
not.
just show up.
It seems Mr. Ochi will be leaving us tomorrow morning.
Oh, darn. Leaving us? Why?
It seems his investigation over the last few days has left him cautiously optimistic about the prospect of descending the mountain.
Apparently, having finally decided just yesterday to leave and get help, Mr. Ochi had been preparing for his departure this morning. During this process, he noticed the hidden food had gone missing from his rucksack.
It seems he'd been holding on to a leftover mini salami he'd brought to the camp in his pants. Haha, what? To his surreptitious evening beer. Whatever that word is.
Surreptitious.
Surreptitious.
Salami, huh? An Italian sausage.
Not
God
Italian.
Damn Italians. Ground pork, seasoned with spices and cured by drying. Preserved food like that would make for ideal rations, as it doesn't go bad easily. You could slice it up thinly and drop it on pizza, or maybe mince it and mix it into a big plate of pasta.
Ooh, I'm hungry.
Just imagining the spicy, salty taste left my mouth overflowing with drool.
I want pizza.
I wonder who stole it.
That's not a critical problem. Mr. Ochi himself seemed more shocked that no one came forward. To put it in his words, I just can't make it anymore. He looked about ready to cry.
Sounded like a South Park character.
I
see. From the beginning, Mr. Ochi had said he wasn't really cut out for this job. As for why, apparently he simply had a hard time dealing with women in general.
Well, I mean, yeah,
you his tiny salami.
Usually being stranded in a ravine isn't in the contract for basketball coach.
Yeah. Given that his job involved corralling girls at the most emotional stage of adolescence, he found the experience immensely nerve-wracking.
That's what it said on the application, and he's like, yeah, that sounds like something I can do.
I can handle this.
I can corral girls at the most emotional stage of adolescence.
As long as they don't come after my tiny salami.
Oh, man.
Now,
Of all things, he was living under terrible conditions with a pack of desperate girls, increasingly crushed under the pressure of their excessive expectations.
Definitely sounds like the beginning of an anime to me.
Yep. Really, it was hardly surprising he'd want to make a break for it as soon as humanly possible. What's going to happen to us without him around? Has he done anything?
Right. This may be slightly rude of me. Oh. Yeah, she's going to say he hasn't done shit.
Yeah.
To be perfectly honest, I don't think it'll have a particularly large effect on the group as a whole.
To be sure, Mr. Ochi was never exactly a powerful presence.
Thank you.
Even during our normal team activities.
It wasn't just us.
I'd always thought of him as more of a cushion between the official authority of the school and the day-to-day management, which was almost entirely handled by our team captain.
He's completely useless. He's got a tiny sausage.
Yeah, he was
a salami.
They just had him there to drive, and he fucked that up.
Still, we had more faith in him than that might suggest. He was an adult with a legal responsibility to us, and as a man, he was better physically equipped to handle certain jobs.
That's sexist.
His presence here had been subtly reassuring in its way, allowing us to slip back into the comforting passive role of students. And while he wasn't much for stopping our fights, the fact that a teacher was watching acted as a significant check on our behavior. If Mr. Ochi were to leave the camp tomorrow, we'd lose our only real authority figure.
I mean, they should have made it more prominent that he was actually
says
there.
Things or stops a fight or
he hasn't done anything.
No.
It's been the captain and Kazuki.
And I mean, that's just the writing, because the school has all the faculty and staff. They talk about it all the time, but you never hear from any of them except the principal.
Right.
None of them have ever said a word.
Right.
In the actual
But
text.
you'd think he would actually have some time here.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Have
Or
some kind of input.
yeah.
The fact that the first time we're seeing him is going to be like the last time we see him.
Yeah, who stole my salami on day 8.
It's my favorite show on NBC. Who Stole My Salami?
Wasn't there a chance his departure could become the spark that would set off a descent into something uglier? I'm scared, Kazuki.
Don't be. If worst comes to worst, I'll protect you, okay?
You'd think she was an elder sister calming a frightened younger sibling. Her words were immensely reassuring, but also inspired something very close to shame.
I sucked on your neck. We're bros now.
Yeah, anime.
It felt as though I'd just forced another responsibility onto Kazuki's overburdened shoulders, and she only has one arm, out of nothing more than pathetic weakness. My face crumpled bitterly, and I could feel tears building behind my eyes.
They're supposed to be in front of your eyes.
What does "if worst comes to worst" mean?
The expression is self-explanatory, isn't it? It refers to the possibility of encountering an exceptionally unfavorable situation.
You're saying this situation is going to get even worse than it already is?
Well, duh.
Well, yes, I expect it will. But there's no need to be concerned. Should it prove necessary, I'm fully prepared to sacrifice anything and everything to protect you, and that means you'll be just fine. I love you, Amane.
Nice to hear, but you don't have to do that. I'll take care of myself.
Doubtful. Will you now? To tell the truth, I do have my hands somewhat full, or one hand, dealing with my own problems.
Someone sat on my arm.
If you could keep yourself safe, it would be quite helpful.
She's actually faking it. It's like a DBZ thing. She gets in a fight with the captain and starts
Just-
fighting.
yeah.
Just keep holding up her own, and then halfway through the fight, she unslings her arm.
And just
like, oh,
one
God.
punches him.
Yeah.
Kazuki was just affirming my own words, but for some reason, it felt like she was abandoning me. All of a sudden, there was a dull pain in my chest.
It's all right. You're a strong girl, Amane, right? You're a strong, confident woman who doesn't need to smoke.
That's right. I can't let myself stay dependent on Kazuki forever. I'll find her brother. I wanted her words to be true. I wanted to be strong enough to help her, strong enough to protect her, strong enough to be necessary to her. Strong enough to not whimper and moan when she sucked on my neck. If I couldn't be strong now, I had the feeling I'd be weak forever, always hiding behind the protection of others, helpless and worthless until the end of my days.
Uh-oh. Nighttime on the 8th day.
Is it still today?
Nope, 9th day.
The 9th day in the valley.
We could probably call it before we start the 9th day, actually.
Okay, fine.
Yeah. There's
Yeah.
no point starting a whole other day and then cutting it off.
Mr. Ochi's departure from the camp.
He's leaving, and we're never going to see him again.
He probably should have done that on day 3.
He gets like 10 steps out, still within earshot, and one of the girls is like, I got the sausage!
Game